There was a time in my life when I thought being kind, helpful, and understanding would make people love me. But what I didn't realize was, being too understanding can make you an easy target. Have you ever trusted someone so deeply only to realize later they were using you the entire time? Yeah, that happened to me too. And today, I'm going to tell you that story. How I was manipulated, broken, and finally how I learned to take my power back. So, listen till the end, because this story might just help you recognize who's draining your energy right now. A few years ago, I was working with a small team, people I considered my friends. We used to spend hours together, sharing ideas, helping each other grow. There was one person, let's call him Ravi. Ravi was charming, confident, and always seemed to know what to say. He made me feel like I was valuable, that my opinions mattered. And being a person who always wants to see others happy, I naturally started doing more for him. Helping him with his projects, covering up when he missed deadlines, even speaking on his behalf when others questioned his behavior. I told myself, he's just going through a rough time. He needs support. But slowly, that support turned into dependence. And that dependence turned into control. I started noticing small things. When I succeeded, he'd make sarcastic comments like, "Yeah, but you got lucky this time." When I gave ideas, he'd say, "That's interesting, but I already thought of that." He started taking credit for my work, twisting stories so he looked like the hero and I became the helper in the background. And the worst part? I didn't stop it. I told myself, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I should just let it go. Because that's what empathetic people do, right? We give chances. We explain behavior. We forgive again and again. Until one day, something snapped. It was a big meeting, the project we'd worked on for months. And when it was time to present, Ravi took the stage. He spoke beautifully, confidently. And he presented my ideas, my work, my words. Without a single mention of my name. I sat there, watching everyone clap for him. And something inside me broke, but also woke up. That day, I realized manipulation doesn't always look like control. Sometimes it looks like praise. It looks like flattery, it looks like friendship. And it feeds on your self-doubt until you forget who you were before you started doubting yourself. I went home that day and asked myself one question. Why did I allow this? And that question changed everything. See, it's not enough to recognize manipulators, you must also recognize the parts of you that let them stay. For me, it was my need for approval. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be seen as helpful. But I realized real strength isn't in being liked by everyone. It's in being respected by yourself. So I started saying no. I stopped over-explaining myself. And most importantly, I stopped seeking validation from people who didn't value me. Over time, I learned to read energy, not just words. When someone praises you too much, observe if they do the same behind your back. When someone always needs your help but disappears when you need them, that's not friendship, that's a transaction. Manipulation thrives on emotional blindness. And awareness is the cure. That's when I started helping others develop the same emotional awareness through coaching. Because most people don't lack intelligence, they lack emotional clarity. When you start understanding human behavior, why people manipulate, how they use guilt, how they twist words, you become unshakable. You stop being a puppet and start being the director of your life. Here's something I teach my clients. Before you say yes to someone, ask yourself, am I doing this out of love or out of fear? If it's love, you'll feel peace. If it's fear, you'll feel pressure. That's your signal. Trust it. Today, I'm grateful for Ravi. Because without him, I'd still be living to please others. That experience taught me to set boundaries, protect my energy, and never apologize for valuing myself. So if you've ever been manipulated, remember this. It wasn't your weakness, it was your kindness that got misused. But once you become aware, that kindness turns into power. And that's the power I want you to step into today. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen, you begin your real journey to freedom.